Hello and welcome to today's session. Today, I have a very special guest, and he is literally the top 1% of wellness leaders out there. So, with me, joining me is Hylton Lipkin, based in Vietnam. And he went from spa director to general manager and now general manager of a cruise ship. Hilton, you have to tell us your story.
Thank you very, very much, Sonal, and it's an honor to be on this call with you. I mean, I've watched many of your podcasts and video casts, and I can't believe that I'm actually live speaking to that background that I've seen many times that I've been watching on LinkedIn and different channels, and then sharing to the rest of the world because people need to see what you're saying and what you're doing. So, yes, I am in that 1%. So I think it is what's the word I'm looking for? It had to happen that we had to meet and speak because you are talking about what I actually am. So honored to be here. And yes, started as a spa director and then moved over into hospitality, grew my way up to becoming a general manager. I have managed and opened quite a few resorts around the world. And now I am looking after a cruise ship company. We have 10 boats. Actually, cruise ships is a big word, cruise boats. And actually, the reason I got this job is because of my wellness background, which I'm sure we'll get into with all your questions. So there's definitely a link yet again to wellness and
It's
hospitality.
your story fascinates me. And I literally, I only know Lucia, another lady who's based in Portugal. You two are the only ones I actually know. I'm not saying there are not any other spa directors, leaders who actually made it to GM and now looking after multiple boats. I've never, I don't know them. And it's definitely in our generation not the easy route to have taken. And today I'd like to shed the spotlight on two kinds of people, those wellness leaders who want more, who want to make a bigger impact in the hotel. And clearly, the bigger the impact you make it at the top level. I mean, some spa directors don't even make it to the executive committee level. They either report to the rooms division director or they're not that part of the private committee, that important part. But you also have now, and we've been working closely with one another. We have boutique hotel owners who are looking for general managers, and what they're very clear about is they don't want the traditional route. And this is where someone with your interesting background is always in high demand because you've got the wellness background, but you also have the savviness of running the business. So let's first start on your journey. Your journey from spa director, then general manager. What drove you to take that path?
Well, you said we only had half an hour, 45 minutes. This might take a little bit more than that. I'll go the short route. Yes, initially to put you in the whole context, my dream was actually to become a doctor. So I've always had this passion about medicine, about healing, about being involved in a wellness environment, an anti-illness environment. Long story short, that didn't happen, and I landed up in the fitness industry. So, and the fitness industry led me to spas. Another whole
Ah,
story. So, I'm just giving you the short version. So, I
interesting.
landed up getting involved in spas. Why? Because one spa on the other side of the world was setting up a fitness center in their spa, and they had nobody who could speak French, so that was definitely an advantage, but they knew nothing about fitness. So I got dropped in the deep end. The fitness was fine, but then I became a spa director. So honestly speaking, when I had the interview and we're talking about day spas and treatments, and I was literally Googling everything days before I had that interview. So I landed up as a spa director in the South Pacific, mainly because I had a fitness background. And then, boom, I fell into hospitality because the spa was in a hotel. So I knew nothing about hotels besides the fact that I been to one or two in my life, but that was it, you know. So suddenly I found myself in the spa industry, within the hospitality industry. I was learning on the job at 100 kilometers an hour, and it grew from there. So that's really where it initially started. As time progressed and I worked on different projects, the spa became more of an integration with the hotel. In some cases, as you very well know, and the audience knows, there's a management contract. So you are Mr. ABC on the outside, generally dealing with the owner, sometimes coordinating with the hotel team, and that's it. There's a rent, there's a revenue share, and that's pretty much it. But there are also other companies that spa is a part of the a department within the hotel. So
Mm.
you're not an outsider, you're actually in the team. I won't mention any company names, so no one gets the credit, and I can't be good, can't be bad. But so I ended up working for a company where spa was part of the hotel, a department. So I actually became an HOD, a department head, a head of department, still a spa director, but now I'm sitting in general managers meetings. I'm doing the budget review with the whole hotel when a guest comes in, you know. So it's really, I became part of the hotel, and I was like, this is quite interesting. I'm top management within this hotel, and I've always been on the outside looking in, fighting with the hotel to give me, you know, this, and can I get this, and can I put my spa menus in the room, and blah 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 blah, you know, and can we have a sign at the gate, and can you help us in your marketing, and all those things were to me. And like, give me. What can we do? How can we sell? How can we can promote? I really found myself within the hospitality world, which again hit the ground running at 100 kilometers an hour, starting to learn about front office and housekeeping and everything that I didn't know anything about. It's going to be a long answer, and I'm going for the short version. So again, to cut a long story short, that happened for quite some time, and then not the answer you're expecting. I actually left the spa. Well, actually, it was part of the evolution. One of the general managers in one of the properties where I'm working, and I was director of spa and recreation, uh, asked me to look after housekeeping. He said that we don't need you in the spa. We don't want to lose you. Can you take on another role? Took me out of my comfort zone. I panicked. I must admit, I was very upset because my passion was the spa and I had built up a career and a reputation. Anyway, stopped the spa and I became executive housekeeper for a small boutique hotel.
Wow.
At the time, I thought it was the biggest mistake of my life.
Ah, no, there are no
Um,
mistakes
I,
ever.
I I have a completely renewed value, or what's the word I'm looking for? What goes on in housekeeping is just we don't know. We don't know. And all those general managers out there, they don't know because I'm now a general manager, and what goes on in housekeeping, it's the backbone of a property. And we always say every department's the backbone of and without the links, things are not going to happen. Even in the spa industry, if we don't have our attendants, the rooms won't be ready, the laundry won't be ready. So every link is integral. Anyway, I became executive housekeeper. I think it was 6 to 8 months. It was the hardest time of my life, but I learned so much about hospitality. The same general manager then asked me to look after sales.
Wow.
Again, completely thrown out of my comfort zone. I like talking to people. I like selling. If I believe in a product and I have a good product, like any salesperson, it's much easier to sell. So again, it was a boutique hotel. I became a salesperson, traveling around selling the property. And then even more so did I become interlinked with different departments in the hotel because now I'm relying on the F&B team to supply what I'm selling. I'm relying on the spa, but that's an easy sell. That's an easy
Because you
sell.
know
I don't
that
have
one,
to worry
right?
about that. I know they're going to do it and I know what they can and cannot do. I'm not sure what the chef can do, and I'm not sure what the F&B team can actually do in terms of decoration, in terms of music, in terms of light, in terms of the whole thing. So I really, again, got another check on my experience list of now I'm basically finding out about every single department about the hotel to bring in a group of 100 people or just to bring in whatever it might be. So I would say that within that year and a half, I found myself spa, no problem. Housekeeping, wow, now I understand a lot more. Sales and marketing, ooh, I need all of you and I need to know what you can all do and how to do it and how I can sell it. So I really then suddenly found myself in a situation where, well, I know a lot more about the hotel than just being running a spa. Long story short, got an opportunity as a executive, what do we call it? A EAM, Executive Assistant Manager slash Spa Director. So kind of went full circle, then came back into Spa, but EAM. So I found myself running the spa. I could do that in my sleep. But now suddenly I'm number two of the property, working with the GM and setting up a property. And then after doing that for 2 years, the logical step was, well, now you're no longer EM, you can take on your own properties as GM. And then I started running and setting up a couple of properties as general manager. And I've opened, I think, four properties now and run them as general manager around Asia. Then of late, I got an opportunity to be the general manager of a cruise ship group in Halong Bay, which is very famous for cruise ships in northern Vietnam. And the concept of the company is a wellness influence. So the owner of the company was really excited about the fact that I knew about hospitality, I knew about departments, I knew about running a hotel, didn't know about how to run boats. There's a little bit more, so I'm hitting the
Another thing
ground
you're going
running
to
yet,
add. You
yet
may
again.
eventually become
I
that
think I'm
doctor.
going
You'll see.
I think I'm going 120 kilometers now. I've been in the game now for nearly a month and a half, so it's okay. I'm starting to understand what's going on around me. But there's a wellness influence that is being pushed by the owner to realign and work on a different avenue of concept within his cruise ship company, which is very much the case in hotels around the world, which is going to be your next question. So I won't go into it now. So my experience of knowing about wellness and hospitality has yet again offered me the opportunity to come back into a management position, or hotel, cruise ships in this case, but still with the wellness influence. So, and then of course the housekeeping, and then of course the sales. So again, yes, I hit the ground running in all of these departments, and everything happens in life for a reason, but from that spa director because of the different opportunities that came about by somebody or taking the opportunity myself has really led me to a situation where there's many ticks on my CV or in my mindset. But at the end of the day, it always comes back to I am a wellness person. I believe in wellness. I'm passionate about wellness, and I've integrated that in my management skills. And somehow luckily, it always comes back. It's not easy, and you and I both know that, and
No.
that's what you speak about. But in my case, I am living proof, and yes, it does happen. Does
So
that answer the question?
yes, I mean it just fascinates me. Even like it's listening to similar story to Lucia, as you've been so brave to take those opportunities, that courage to take that that leap of faith, and probably not positions you would have really wanted, but you still went and took them to learn and grow. And I think that's a huge lesson. Sometimes we want to grow the way we want to, not what we really need in order to get to our next step. And though I think I give, the wellness directors, spa wellness directors, they do a fantastic job. But then when, you said when you went into housekeeping, that just put a different spin on things. And I think that just makes us eat a piece of a humble pie because we think our department is hard. And of course, I'll always say it's not the easiest thing on the planet. But then you are a living example of other departments and you know how difficult other parts of the hotel is to actually to manage them. So what would you say? was the biggest learning you had when you went into being the executive housekeeper? And what can our spa and wellness directors learn from that?
I think what you said is, yeah, learning about something else or coming out of your comfort zone is very difficult. So that definitely helped. But at the end of the day, our spa world is a little hotel,
Hmm.
because we have our own housekeeping. In some cases, we have our own sales. In many cases, we have our director, who's our general manager. We have our therapists who could be considered as your F&B team because they're providing a actually, in many cases, they're even serving food. So they're servicing people. So our spas around the world are really mini hotels. So yes, I found myself in housekeeping. Yes, I learned a lot. Yes, it was very difficult. I didn't sleep for 6 months, 4 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and all those things. But if you step back as a spa director or a spa manager or someone within a spa industry, it's actually the same thing. It really is the same thing. Like you said, it's that leap of faith because housekeeping isn't 12 people, it's 40 people and a lot more supplies and a lot more that goes into it. But at the end of the day, there's laundry, there's amenities, there's cleaning. Uh, it's kind of the same thing. Engineering in the spa, we still have engineering. We generally there's pretty girls in the spa, so the engineers always come very quickly. We all know that. It's the easier thing to get things fixed in the spa because you ask the reception or the therapist to call the chief of engineer, and then they come. Other departments scream and cry, they never come. So
There have to
really,
be
that's
some
much
perks of the job.
true or not true.
Perks of the job. Come on. I'm always going to say I'm all for it.
I learned that very, very quickly. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but doing something different and stepping backwards and looking at the same thing, I really realized that what I was doing before was actually the same thing. But unfortunately, there's a wall that goes around the spa industry that is not viewed or respected or given the value that you speak about all the time by those people on the other side of the wall, as the general managers, as the owners, as the sales and marketing team, as the F&B team. It's like the spa's there when we've got a complaint, we give a free massage.
Yeah.
The spa's there to make the people well so they don't complain anymore. I remember that the reception always used to say to me, we love the spa. We love the spa. We love the spa. People come here, they scream at us, they come out of the spa, and they're different people. So, but for them, that's all it is. Yes, for the owner, for some general managers, it's a source of revenue, but they don't see the real value of what the whole spa operation is about. So, again, coming back to my situation, I've lived all worlds and I've seen all departments. And actually, it's the same thing. But there's so much more we can do from a wellness perspective. And now we know, and again, I'm not just saying this because we're both from the wellness industry and it is kind of becoming very cliched, but it's 100% true. The world has become very wellness orientated. The hospitality sector is definitely suddenly throwing a massive interest into the wellness sector. When I say wellness, I mean spa and wellness. And we, as the leaders, are definitely having people look at us. Well, in my case, I am the person looking at that person and looking at me because I'm from that industry and starting to understand the value. But what you keep speaking about on your blogs and your information is to what level? How much do they actually respect it versus F&B? And that's where a lot of the spa, I've met people in the spa industry today as a general manager. I'm like, well, if I'd known all of that when I was a spa director, if I had done all of that when I was a spa director, it would have been a completely different game. I thought I was good, but I knew nothing. What they're doing and how they're marketing themselves and how they're pushing the spa and the different menu engineering that they're doing and all the different types of treatment. We didn't do that back then. It was really much basic, and we still thought we were amazing and we were still doing well. So there's some phenomenal people out there, and they can definitely drive a lot more awareness in terms of marketing and so much more revenue within a hotel industry. And you and I both know so many owners today or groups. Now, oh, we want to be wellness influenced. We want to have a wellness element. We want to be known as the wellness hotel. We want to be a retreat hotel. And everyone just keeps on that. But they're scared of making that conversion, like in my case, where it's like you go from there to there. But at the end of the day, we kind of know what we're doing and it does work, but we do need a little bit more space. I know you talk about that all the time.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
I'm jumping
you,
over into your next
no,
question.
no, I mean, I really, this is super interesting. Yeah, that 45 minutes, I think that's, we're going to have to rethink that one, right? Um, Here's what comes up for me. Um, I have no doubt that wellness is super strong. And, in my past life, I was in, Goldman Sachs. So I'm not exactly the typical shrinking violet that one would encounter way back in my generation, way back earlier on. So I've always made myself be very respected and I've always spoken numbers. And I've always got the budget I've wanted. And when I've not, it's because I knew deep down my business case was not strong enough. And it wasn't. Um, but what hurts me is I see we make up so little of hotel revenue. And that can go from 1% to 3% if people are measuring what they represent of total hotel revenue. And what we're notorious in the industry of just measuring such a long list of KPIs. And sometimes, people don't compare apples with apples because everyone measures them in their own way. And then some of them don't even know how much they represent of total hotel revenue. And when I hear certain figures, I'm like, this is our core problem. Like, I mean, rooms and food and beverage, they know what they're representing of total hotel revenue. It's in the profit loss, also spa and wellness. If there, it is not a minor operating department, that's also represented. And just the thinking of, okay, I'm probably, let's say, 5% of total hotel revenue. What do I need to do to get to 30%? Clearly what gets us to 5%, nowhere near, it's not, there is no chance that it's going to get us to 30%. And I find that many times as spa and wellness, we're expected to be these soft people that practice yoga all day long. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, because I'm someone who's practiced wellness long before it's become this hip trend we see now. I embody that, in everything I do. But you can be that and also be business driven, attract your guests. And I think now wellness has become the spotlight, but it's all, oh, longevity here, add the cryo chamber there. It's become still the same thing, but we just have new toys. And I'm like, where is the return on investment of this? Where is it? And you'll normally find other people wanting the piece of the cake. So other department heads now all know wellness. And you find the director of spa and director of wellness still continues to be lower down, whereas other people now are wellness leads. Um, is that something you see, or is that me putting on my super critical glasses that I probably need to put down?
Brought two things to my mind, and I hope I don't forget the second one. So maybe I should answer that one first. When I became a general manager, I must admit, and I am guilty, when I was doing pre-opening and hiring and setting up the budget and looking at the salary scales, I definitely was not looking what you just said. I was actually 100% guilty because I was looking at the property of we don't want to overspend. We want to get the best people and we know we're going to get what we pay for. But are we going to pay so much money for a spa director that may not generate enough revenue for the property? Exactly what you just said. And I found myself in that situation where I need to get the best HR person and it doesn't matter how much it's going to cost. And I need to get the best finance person and it doesn't matter how much it's cost. And I got to get a great F&B director because we're going to count so much on that because we got 5 restaurants. So I was guilty as charged. So for all of you out there, I was guilty. But I stepped back and I thought, well, hang on a second, how can we use this to our advantage? And that brings me to my second comment about what you said. It's always been hotels with spas,
Mm.
but now the tables have flipped and it's spas with hotels. So it's something we spoke about recently. So we're starting to see a trend of wellness integrated spa, holistic, uh, sustainability, which we haven't even mentioned, which is more of a passion to me than even actual physical wellness, with hotel rooms. So then it's a different ballgame because now suddenly your key focus, your key function, your key marketing tool is all about this wellness center or this wellness concept at the heart of a property, and we do have accommodation. Now that we're starting to see. So for all those spa directors out there, that is really that line. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to go through housekeeping and sales. That is the line where you are actually the key focus of the property because the property is about all those spa treatments, about all those onsen treatments, about all those integrated movements and sound therapy and Reiki and meditation and everything that goes with that, biking, hiking, running, and then there's accommodation. So I've got to be careful now because no more general managers are going to speak to me afterwards. You put me in a box. Um, so it's a completely different mindset. And you and I both know that there are more and more of these projects around. There's a lot of wellness washing for sure. If the first and foremost design or the architect comes back and goes, right, this is our wellness center. We're going to have this, and we're going to run all of this. And I can list a few off my head right now, just in the vicinity of Southeast Asia. And then they have accommodation. Yes, there's always a flow into, oh, we want these rooms to be super luxurious. And then there's the pillow and the bed count and the size of the room and the bathrooms. But the main concept and idea behind this hospitality project was a spa or a wellness center. Maybe spa is a bit too
Outdated,
small, a
probably.
wellness
Yeah.
center. Yeah, it carries a lot of weight, but when you speak to people about spa, they go, "Oh, okay, massage, facial, but it's really grown into a whole well-being
Mm.
versus wellness. We won't get into that conversation today. But so if you can look at it from that perspective, then for the wellness industry and all those people that you mentioned in the beginning, there's a massive potential growth in that area because you are the experts in how to manage the whole wellness concept. And GMs today, you and I both know, have no idea.
No.
One of the reasons they don't respect a lot of the spa managers is because they're just seeing a young lady who's good at massage, who can train her team and make them all look beautifully groomed, and the guests are happy. That's it. The guests are happy. But there's a lot more to it. So when the guest comes to the and says, "Oh, do you have deep tissue massage? Do you do lomi lomi? Do you do hot stone massage? Do you do Reiki?" The GMs, I'd like to introduce you to our spa manager. I'd like to introduce you to our spa director because they don't know. More and more they finding out because they should know everything. But hands down, as a general manager, you'll know the menu, you'll know the wine list, you'll know the plate of the day, but you won't know all the treatments in the spa. You may know a little bit about onsen or massage because you go often, or meditation because someone spoke you into it, or you started doing it, which is again something that you need to draw these people into. You've got to try a product to believe in a product. So there's big opportunity there for things like that. And I know we both say, oh, it's coming, it's taking time and it's growing, but it's going very, very fast. And the main catalyst for me is the fact that promoters or developers or owners want a wellness resort with accommodation and not a hotel with a wellness resort. And the more and more that happens, our industry or the spa industry and the wellness industry will really take more of a spotlight because that's the revenue.
Yes, I want there is I actually think there's no doubt that we're the heartbeat. We're what makes everything. We're the asset, and you know why I even wrote the book. That said, now I'm going to be controversial. Now this is where our industry is going to be throwing stones at me now. Um, are our leaders strong enough to face head on what's coming to us? We've got the spotlight through zero merit of our own. Pandemic hits, the world cares about wellness, and overnight we are the cat's meow or the dog's bollocks. That candy or this honeymoon phase will run out. And just throughout this question, I see some of our spa directors out there and I see their trajectory to get to spa director. And I have actually closely worked with a few of them. And I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. These are people that could one day manage businesses that are making 30% of total hotel revenue. Absolute big no are my concerns. And many people have landed themselves into position of spa director. That's just the harsh truth. The barrier to entry is so low. Just, you are happy, you do good treatments, you're responsible, you can do the schedule, no drama happening. The GM doesn't need to worry. We're going to promote this therapist into spa supervisor, then spa manager. Don't worry, she doesn't know how to do the budget. We've got the director of finance, just look pretty. I'm being sarcastic, right? And then, yeah, lucky you get to spa director because, hey, I've done 1 or 2 spas, I've worked with the XYZ brand. And when you dig deeper, I mean, I've sat in front of spa directors who do not know how to write their own budget. They wouldn't know how much they represent of total hotel revenue. And admittedly, not their fault because, they weren't taught. So if you weren't taught, you're not going to, it's not there. So I see a huge gap of where the market is and where our leadership is. And it's not because of lack of talent, it's because of lack of education. And I just want to, the reason I was asking you these questions, what did you learn in housekeeping, in sales, in all that, when then you became a GM, what drastically changed? What skills did you need to learn? That even if you're your mini GM in a spa, that is completely different, would you say?
Like, you're 100% right. And there's luck. There's definitely luck involved. I never saw myself as a general manager. I was exactly what you were talking about. First budget meeting, I'm like, oh, only 3%. Oh, okay, all this work, only 3%. So I was exactly in that stage. So I may be the worst person to be having this conversation with, even though I'm an example because I had those opportunities. But like I said, I had a bit of my arm in the door when I became an HOD within a hotel. I had half my body in the door when I became executive housekeeper. Then I had three-quarters of my body in the door or closer to the general manager's office when I became a sales manager for the property. So I found myself with three-quarters of my general manager need how through those opportunities. So I didn't go and study books. I didn't do an extra diploma. I didn't sit with the general manager and say, mentor me. How do you do this? What do you do it? Yes, obviously I was watching what they were doing. It all kind of just happened. So there's a lot of luck involved, but I found myself getting closer and closer and closer to the situation. I won't say that because I learned how to make a bed within 10 minutes, I became a great general manager. Because I could sell a product, I became a general manager. No, they were catalysts towards me getting into that position. But because I became armed with these know-hows, being being a good executive housekeeper doesn't mean that you're a good general manager because, like you mentioned in the beginning, there's not just finance. There's managing the team, managing the whole, managing the guests, managing everything, and being, it's 24/7 and it's so many people. So everything is a piece of the puzzle. So I know I'm beating around the bush. I'm not really
No, no, no.
answering
You,
your
it's
question,
it's
but I
valid,
think
and no, go for it. Go for it.
the easiest part is just to say that because of my journey, I got myself closer and closer to that door. Then the door opened. Then my foot was in the door. Then my whole body was in the door. Then I walked around the table and there was no one sitting in the chair. And then I sat down in the chair and suddenly I was general manager or number two and then general manager. Um, Sounds very simple, but pretty much that's how it happened because I didn't sit at night and go, I'm going to become a general manager. Become a general manager. I didn't sit there and look at the general manager in the first budget meeting and go, I can do that. When I was a fitness instructor, I watched some really good fitness instructors and I went, oh, I can do that. But it never was an ambition, a growing, dying ambition of mine to be a general manager. I kind of just evolved into that situation because of those decisions, because of those movements, and then found myself in a general manager. And hey, let's be 100% honest. Some days when I'm sitting running a hotel and everything is exploding and everything's going bad, and the owner's calling, and the operating companies, the management companies calling, and da da da, and I'm going, whoa, I was enjoying my days in the spa. What am I doing? Oh, okay, I got a bigger salary now, but well, a lot of responsibility. So again, you need to ask yourself, what do you want? To get back to your point, yes, a lot of these spa managers around the world have just been therapists who got promoted, who were front office or reception who got promoted, and they do an amazing job. Will they be able to manage a team of 200 people and sales and marketing and sit in sales and marketing meetings and budget meetings and everything that goes around, owners meetings and things like that? No, but as we say, again, cliche, but within the hospitality industry, if you've got the passion, you've got the heart, that's 40 or 60% of what makes you into a good hotelier. The rest you can learn.
Absolutely.
So
That it's all
I
up
would
for learning.
definitely say, I think we both agree, and everyone would agree, it's like, where do I sign up to become a general manager? Where do I sign up to become an EAM? So my advice to everyone would be you need to look beyond the walls of your spa. Don't leave the spa industry. I'm very much within the spa industry. I'm very passionate about the spa industry, and I always have a weak spot for the spa industry. And everyone knows that. No one in the spa ever gets a write up. But boy, you in housekeeping. No, I'm joking. But yeah, the spa won't do it again. But you in housekeeping. No, 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 I'm joking. But um, I think that my advice to spa managers, spa directors would be to seek mentorship or to look out a little bit more what the other people do with other departments. And yes, step out and go and work in housekeeping for a year. You are a therapist, you are a massage, but just step out of your comfort zone and learn about a little bit more within the hospitality industry. You're not going to become the general manager of BMW if you're just a mechanic on the floor. You'll be a mechanic for the rest of your life. But if you become floor supervisor and then whatever they are, you can up the chain, like we say. So I think a lot of this boils down to spa managers and spa directors or recreation or wellness um, stay within our bubble.
Yeah.
And it's no fault of their own because the opportunity doesn't come to them. But I would say, in my case, I'm a living example of stepping out of the bubble. I got kicked out of the bubble. I didn't get kicked out of the bubble. I was asked if I wanted to leave the bubble, and trust me, I didn't want to. So that would be my advice to them,
Yeah, to actually
I think.
explore, to get out of the comfort zone. And that doesn't mean you aren't any longer a wellness person. It's just that you're a wellness person, increasing your toolbox of skills or your skill set at the end of the day. You're just more skills under your
Right.
belt can only be the a positive thing. And when you are the general manager, you have control over actually making those wellness oriented decisions, making a change, making an impact, giving your therapists the quality of life they need, right? And not removing the lunch break or making them stay till 10 p.m. or giving a free treatment. I think you view things in a very different way. And now we've talked a lot about, and I know we are way over, but I know the audience is loving what we are saying. Now that we've got the wellness directors on one side, and On the other side, and that is very relevant to where you are in today, why you got your position, why you got that completely, again, going to the boat industry, but ships, cruises, very different, but because of your wellness background. Now, you and I both work also in the boutique hotel sector. And, we've crossed paths in a few projects, and they specifically have asked me for someone who's wellness oriented. So a very powerful spa director, wellness director, or a GM who has had wellness position to manage the entire hotel. Now we're talking about boutique properties. So 30, 35 keys tops, maybe some might go slightly higher, but they're very, very clear. If they had to choose commercial savviness over wellness savviness, I think they would still go towards wellness savviness because you can teach the commercial part, which I 100% agree. And it's what we were talking about earlier on, which applies also to wellness leaders. And what you have done, you've gone and built that already on a very strong base when you had being that spa director, going into housekeeping, then sales and marketing, then hotel manager, then GM. What advice would you give? Now, this is speaking to owners of boutique hotels. What are the pros and cons, I guess, of, let's say, getting a very strong wellness director and making them the GM of your property versus, your box standard, sorry to use the word box standard, but your box standard GM? Come from the traditional routes of food and beverage or rooms.
I'm going to make upset by answering this question. No, to be honest, I think, as we said before, a lot of the general managers who have experience in rooms, in F&B, and in sales do not know enough about wellness and spa.
Yeah.
So for an owner who has wellness and spa in vision, that really could become a clash, could become this is not the person I wanted. Plus, we do know that most of the general managers out there came through a certain pyramid, or whichever way you want to look at it, where they know about rooms, they know about F&B, about sales, they know about finance, and they became general. So for an owner, all those things are actually important.
Mm-hmm.
But if their mindset is on the wellness, then that person will not have that. Now, if you go in at the very open, transparent communication, like you just mentioned, saying, right, I know you're not a GM. I know you don't have the experience. So we will work together and I'll bring in a strong number two or whatever it is. But I want you to have all this wellness influence. That would definitely be a great thing. And then the pressure is off versus, okay, so you ran a huge spa with 20 or 40 treatment rooms and you had 100 people. So, you're used to the big amount. But now suddenly it's a different ballgame, and that person is just going to drown, burn up, and leave. So if you are transparent and say, okay, I will help you, I understand, that would work. But unfortunately, that's a fairy tale because if I'm an investor and I'm building a hotel and I'm spending a lot of money and I want to bring somebody in, I can't waste time by sitting and teaching you how to calculate the cost of a room or how many housekeeping people you need or what how to calculate the cost of the food or what are we going how are we going to engineer the menu and are we going to do set menus are we going to do buffets how much does it cost what's the difference so it's a very difficult thing to answer because again I'm sitting in a situation where today I know all about that but in the beginning I didn't know about any of that and we're back to exactly the same situation where we were talking about before that if you don't have that experience and you don't have that opportunity, you wouldn't be able to um, do that. So as an owner, as an investor, yes, if they come to someone like me, yes, tick, 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 we'd love to have you. But our spa director who ran a spa at a boutique property would drown and die. So I would definitely say in that case, there has to be two people. But then the owner has to, one who's the spa person, the wellness person, and one who's the business person, and put them together It's like you and me put us together. Oh, it's a powerhouse. You know everything about wellness with your experience in hospitality. So that would be, but that's two salaries. So then your cost goes up. I don't have the magic wand, and I mean you've hit me with the question. I'm not an investor or an owner, but it's a difficult one. In the case of the projects that we've spoken about, or the projects that we both know about, it's difficult for these people to find someone who, you know, they're just going to think spa again and healthy food or something like that. Um, yeah, from an owner's perspective, it's difficult because
It
why would you
is.
hire someone if they don't have the experience? Why would you hire someone because you know they can set up an amazing spa? I'm just thinking of an example with a colleague that I work with here in Vietnam, who is an amazing spa director and out of the box thinking, does all the treatments, goes on YouTube, sees a different treatment and just reinvents it and comes up with something super cool. And wow, 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 wow. And then his general manager brought him in as the operations director and he found himself in shackles and he resigned after 6 months.
Now, I
Here
also
is
think
someone who
it's
was
not the route for everyone. It's like, how many chefs do you see become general manager? I don't know any. So our
perfect example,
therapists are our chefs at the end of the day. Like, the
perfect
equivalent,
example.
the creatives of the brains behind why people pay money, right? We don't have any chefs, there's no
Correct,
food, no restaurant, and we have no therapist. There is absolutely no, we
correct,
don't have a business in wellness. So I think for many it's a calling, it's a craft, and they're crafts people, and you either are a crafts person with food or you're a crafts person with therapies, healing, and it's valid. You can be and continue to go up to the top rank and become, let's say, chief well-being officer. Now that's going to be far more their wheelhouse. And that is available. But I still think when it comes to hospitality chains, the people who are now going to become chief well-being officer are going to be GMs who they don't know where else to put them. And so they become either the global director of spa or the global, not that I'm saying that we have that happening right now. No, no comments on that, but you see that,
hopefully.
right? You still don't see the wellness people getting that much coveted position. You find someone from another department taking over it because clearly having that wellness
Correct.
knowledge is something they think they can learn, which they probably could. But again, you can't be an executive chef without having been a chef, right? The same when it comes to the
And having the
wellness area.
experience, yes.
Because
Yeah.
with this question here, going back to the boutique hotel properties, you see, I'm now involved, and this is where I normally work, and they're the ones reaching out to me, and instead of getting a hospitality consultant, I'm the lead consultant. I'm the wellness person working through the Essence framework, showing them, and I'm the one hiring the hospitality consultants, the food and beverage consultants. And it's been fascinating to see. I thought only wellness we don't know, or there's so many ways to do the same kind of, you ask us to design a spa or to create a wellness facility. Each one would come up with a very different set of rules. And then once I started getting food and beverage experts in and getting hospitality experts in, I'm like, good Lord, I thought we spa people were confused. Just some people who just don't, they have a different way of working. And it's also commercial, big chain. You've worked up the ranks, but when you're in a boutique property and you've been and you've worked in those, you're pretty much the owner's extension. You're spread across many departments. It's more, all hands on deck, or whatever the saying is, right? And you treat the business in a very, you get a very deeper view of the business instead of, oh, I have to report to regional, I have to report to global. Am I following the mold? Am I, politically, doing the right thing? It's a very different skill set involved. I've always found it quite interesting now seeing how all these boutique property owners are people who definitely don't want to do hospitality the way traditional chains have done them, and they're looking for wellness leaders to lead the project. And I think for those people, I guess, as you said earlier on, and I chime in with you there, is that they need to have the skill. Like wellness, you don't want to put them in a creative straitjacket and they leave in 6 months, because that's not what they want. That happened to your colleague. They need to have those skills, or you have to find a way to supplement them. So it sounds romantic to have a wellness director suddenly go into the boutique property and be their general manager, but it requires a lot more. A hotel is a very complex business. You have tourism
Mm,
boards, you have owners, you have far many more staff members across different departments, lots of egos to manage, lots of just general rules and regulations. And that can only happen, I guess, when you're in the job, in the ground, a bit like how you did it. Get yourself in, because books can only teach you so much. Real life and working in different
sure.
destinations across different companies and different sizes of companies, there is no substitute for that at present, if you want a return on investment and quick on your property. It's a business, you're spending a lot of money or your family money into it. Uh, there has to be a return on investment, be it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but it has to be commercially sustainable. And at present, our wellness leaders are not equipped. And that doesn't mean from 5 to 10 years we won't. But I think it's also good to be open and honest, right? To state things the way it is. So that's how I would say you're that top 1% wellness leader. I mean, there are very few. Um,
Yeah, it makes this conversation actually, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, everything we're saying, I have, not I'm the best, but actually it's so difficult to obtain that. I've never thought about this before because it kind of just happened, like I said, but in a perfect world, it's very, very difficult. Now I step back and now I understand why it's 1%, because it's very, very difficult to obtain and have that situation. Um, just one thing that came to mind when you were talking, you mentioned something about boxes. So going back to the owner of the hotel, the investor, we sitting here saying you need a GM, you need a finance, you need an F&B, you need a thing. But if you re-look the whole way of managing a hotel, because these people want to change the rules. You can have your well-being, wellness guru, instructor, manager still be a very integrated part, and you can share the responsibilities in the property. So you don't have to per se have a GM. You can have four GMs. I know we both know you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Too many chiefs not too many Indians, not enough chiefs. But hey, it might work. So in that case, you build this boutique hotel and you have three GMs or four GMs, each responsible for their department, reporting to the owner. Yes, the owner will suddenly be getting four emails instead of one, and you're consolidating. But that would give the opportunity of each of these people to run their expertise as the leader. I'm just thinking out of the box because when you were talking, I was thinking about that, and that would obviously give somebody a great opportunity from the spa industry, from the kitchen industry, from F&B to suddenly find themselves the four GMs, like the three musketeers, be running the show together with their responsibilities and their expertise, but sharing everything together. And like you hit the ground running and learning about all these things for design and building that wasn't your place, and my experience of hitting the ground running and learning all these things brought us to where we are today. So that could be another model that
I agree. No,
potential investors could think about.
I agree. But now it's because having my own business now, this is the going on the 18th year, and it's been one heck of a roller coaster ride. And I have spent insane amounts of money in business masterminds, learning from people from other industries. And in all honesty, the hotel industry is a very well oiled operational machine.
Mm,
If the responsibility a general manager has is really, there's a lot of responsibility. And I've always been deeply passionate about the hotel industry because I've, in Kenya, born and brought up, living and seeing my dad in that kind of industry too, where I've seen what a hotel does to a city. I've seen the impact that GM has. I till today remember the GM of this super five-star hotel, just the way he acted. And I walked in, my dad was the structural and civil engineers with part of there, and he introduced me, and I was a young little girl, and he treated me so nicely. And the art of being with your guests, treating your staff with, and they do treat them, treating the community, local suppliers. You are representing and you're bringing people in. Your decisions on how you're pricing is going to determine the quality of guest you're bringing and who you're bringing to your home and what you're showing of your home. That's a huge responsibility. So I do think that there's a lot of, I admire what the top hotel schools are, what they're turning out when it comes to their future talent, because they really are what they're learning. This is far reaching impact and it's genuine, it's real. And we've seen, unfortunately, negative impact over tourism, but also the positive impact in probably smaller communities and all. And I think we don't need to throw the baby away with the bathwater. That there are some, I think that how a GM is groomed to become a GM, the humility that goes to learning how to do your bed in 10 minutes or serving or waking up at 4 a.m. I think our wellness leaders will do good in learning that because as we're spoiled. Who comes happy, unhappy in it? Well, guests, it's the best department because you always see the best side of a guest, right? Very few are actually even difficult, and you get along with them. We see the best. And that's not the real scenario. That is not real life, unfortunately. And the same guest can be
No,
a
it's not.
monster when they are out there, right? So I think learning the 360, I think there is merit in that. I do just, I'm seeing and what you've also had to learn. I mean, as you said, we're being open and honest to boutique hotel owners. A wellness director will suffer. Doesn't mean that they can't learn the skills, but we will drown them, and
Correct.
that's not what we want, right? They definitely need a solid number one, and it's whatever the profit and loss the hotel can manage. Then that wellness director can eventually become the GM, but they need the few years of really
Correct.
understanding the hotel. And as you said, if they've been a mini GM as it is of the department, so they will learn quick. But I think thinking beyond our department, beyond the walls that we have also created, I think that's going to
Mhm.
help us open and really take wellness to this really, really high level. And I'd love to see these mainstream hotels have wellness departments that generate more than food and beverage or rooms, like, the three pillars. And that day will come.
Definitely.
That day will come.
Um,
But yeah.
Again, I know we're speaking so long and we can carry on forever, but there's also now the first thing I wanted to say before I forgot is that the fact that I got the EAM Spa Director position was a major stepping block for me. So, if someone can find an opportunity in a property where they are the number two and the spa director, that's the perfect stepping stone to learn about the whole operation. So I would definitely recommend more companies, more owners to develop that position because it's a win-win for everybody. The spa expert will now find him or herself engrossed into the hotel operation, but the hotel people will find themselves shadowed by a wellness expert.
Mm,
So it's a win-win situation. So the property will find more wellness and more expertise and learn, and that person, and I'm living proof of that. So I would definitely say if we were looking for a quick fix, try and develop in your manning a position where you have your, it doesn't have to be your EAM, it can be your operations manager, it can be your front office manager, maybe a bit too much work, but slash spa director. So you're looking after two departments or one and a half departments, or assistant front office manager, spa director. Again, maybe that's not such a good, but in my case, it was EAM or operations manager or hotel manager slash director of spa. And that would really be a win-win for the owners, the investors, the operators, and obviously the spa team.
I think I mean
Now
I
I'm
think
going to now I'm going to throw a spoke in the wheel. I'm going to really throw it out. The fact that I am a wellness experienced, once an expert, become GM sounds amazing. But the reality is when I interview for jobs or when I send my CV out to people, they see me as a glorified spa director or a wellness director and don't take me seriously as a general manager, which is very, very frustrating. So I found myself in situations and interviews where I have to justify that I've opened four hotels with 200 rooms and had a team of 300 people and did this kind of revenue and F&B and everything. And then it always comes back to, but your background is spa. And it's like, yeah, that was 20 years ago. Yeah, that's my CV. You can call my references. Yeah, so very interestingly, and which is really the pinnacle of what we've been talking about and what you talk about is I am that 1%, and I still have to fight to actually get positions where I am exactly what we've been talking about. I'm sitting at the top, being able to manage that whole machine and know exactly how to look after the whole wellness concept of the property and the spa. And trust me, I infuse it. Yeah, kombucha drinks instead of wine, and meditation instead of meetings, and no phones and detox. And I live it and dream it as a general manager. But it's actually bit of a weakness when I'm looking for a job, which is surprising. And then, you speak to wellness leaders from around the world. They go, "Oh, yeah, yeah, don't worry. We'll find you a job with your expertise and your know-how." But the reality is, it's not that easy, which is very, very strange. And not saying I want the best job in the world and da 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 da, but I really lived it and felt it. Where you came into this conversation saying you are that 1%, and you know, wow, you have that red carpet right in front of you, and you can go to the left, you can go to the right. You have all the housekeeping, sale, general manager, spa. And I've had not one, a few interviews or replies to emails when I was looking for jobs, saying, yeah, no, yeah, thank you, but we see you more as a spa wellness person, but not so much as a general manager. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and that is this testament of wellness is something that's been slapped on, but it is not something that people truly have internalized and implemented and integrated into how they work. Things are changing, and I see that maybe in 10, 15 years time, having that genuine spa and wellness experience would be a huge plus. But I still think you suffered to get where you are right now and are suffering. And this will only help the generations behind. But get there. But I think that's still good 10 to 15 years to actually even change mainstream mentality. Because if they don't, they'll find that they don't have a hotel anyone goes to. Because the truth is, our guests are far more advanced than us when it comes to
Yes,
wellness. They even know more about wellness than
100%.
some of our therapists know because they know their bodies, right? So I think things will change, but it's not fast enough. And it's sad that someone with your experience and said you should be the one, who's got like a wait list of places you want to go to instead of being, having the challenges. But, um, it has been fascinating. I think you're probably the longest podcast interview I have done. And we could definitely, as you mentioned, go on and on. It's just been fantastic. Hilton, I truly admire what you do, what you've done. And I would just like to say, it's not luck. People make their luck. You know, you had to take the courage. It required courage to change, to get out of your comfort zone, not knowing what the hell you're doing. You're thinking, have I lost my brain or what? You know, because I can imagine those moments you must have had. Um, but you know, you're a true source of inspiration, and no, thank you for what you do. Really are. Thank you for being you and the impact you're making in this industry.
No, thank you. I mean, first and foremost, everything you said, the same for you. I mean, what you do is absolutely amazing. And if there's any way that I can give back and help people or give advice, yes, of course, that's what it's all about. And it's been a fascinating journey, and I do enjoy what I do. I think wellness is an integral part of all of our lives. And like you said, it's definitely a very strong root that is growing within the hospitality industry, maybe not as fast as it should, but we all know it is. So everyone who's out there who thinks that there's not an opportunity, there is. There's a lot of opportunity and it's growing every single day. And you just need to maybe step out a little bit and look from the outside in and come out of your comfort zone as well and learn about what's going on because people need us. The hospitality industry needs us. And not just the hospitality, even the private sector. Wellness is everywhere. And more and more people, the likes of Google and all these big companies, they are definitely hiring wellness people. So there's lots of opportunity out there for us, obviously hospitality as well. But we can carry on again and go off on a
I know.
tangent.
I
But thank you very
100%
much and
agree.
honored
It's
to be.
just fascinating. We probably have a second part series because I've loved this conversation. And thank you so, 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 so much for today. It's been fantastic.